How's it going, FitScope? Your instructor, David here. I'm here to talk about bike setup, bike fit, a couple positions, and some equipment that you may want to invest in if you enjoy cycling. First thing I want to talk about is bike fit. There's a few things that you can adjust on almost all bikes, and you want to make sure it is fit just for you. Now, even though somebody may be the same height, same size, that kind of thing, you may have different proportions in your legs, torso, upper body, all of those things. So a couple things that I want to talk about. The first thing is going to be the most important, which is your seat height. The seat height is important because you want to make sure that your leg is able to extend all the way. A good rule of thumb just to start when setting up your seat height is to set up with your hip bones. So find your hip bones, maybe put your hands on your hips, set up your seat just below those hip bones. With this bike, I need to turn the knob to the left. I find the right seat height. It's still wobbly until I lock it back into place. Once I line it up with my hip bone, I go ahead and hop on the bike, and then I see what it looks like when I pedal. So when I'm pedaling here, what I'm looking for is in a seated position with the bottom of my foot parallel to the ground at the very bottom of my pedal stroke, that I am able to extend my leg all the way with having a small little bend in my knee. A couple things that I see most often, the most common thing is somebody riding too low on their bike, and your knees will either go in or out, and riding so much like that is not good on the knees. The other thing that you're going to see is that if your seat is too high, you may start to point through the toes and lock out the knee at the bottom of every single pedal stroke, and that's not good on your knees either. So again, you're looking for a full extension of your leg and a soft bend in your knee. Now, since we're here talking about the seat height and your pedals, what happens is you can clip in if you've either got cycle shoes or cages on your bike. Cycle shoes that you have right here, the reason that you want these is these are non-pliable, meaning tennis shoes you can bend pretty well. These ones you won't be able to bend. They have a solid bottom surface that clips into the pedals. What happens there is that you're able to push your weight evenly through your foot and get a stronger pedal stroke. Also, you're able to pull your knees up into the chest because you're clipped in. So it's not only pushing down, you can pull up just a little bit and get some more power that way. So highly recommend investing in some cycle shoes if you are enjoying cycling. You will see on these cycle shoes, the bottom of the shoes will have two different clips. Some shoes can be universal, use both styles. This style right here is called a Look Delta. My preferred style is SPD clip, which is a smaller metal clip. It's all your preference. I do find that Look Delta is easier to clip in and clip out. The SPD is a tighter connection, typically used for mountain biking. The other few things that you're going to take a look at on your bike setup right here is going to be your handlebar height. The handlebar height is the second thing. A couple rules of thumb: you always want to be at least equal to or higher than the seat. So I'm going to go ahead and set mine higher. Now, with the seat height, or the handlebar height, excuse me, a few things that people do for indoor riding, it doesn't really make a big difference how high it is they ride pretty high on the handlebars so you don't have to lean as far forward. You'll see some numbers on the side of the handlebars. Make note of that. Sometimes it will tell you stop if you've gone too high or to the highest level. Once the handlebars are there, I'm going to lock them in. I like to ride at the highest one when I am in indoor riding. When I'm riding outdoors, I keep it a little lower so that I can get lower and be a little more aerodynamic. The other two things that you're going to see on the bike are what's called the fore and the aft. It's how far forward and back the handlebars and the seat are. So you can see that these move forward, back right here. A good rule of thumb, it really depends on the length of your torso. You may have a short torso or a long torso. You can see people tend to do this thing where their hand goes from the seat to the handlebars. What I recommend is starting, there's usually a 0 position on the handlebars. Start there, 0, 0 on the seats, and then check in. Whenever you sit down on the bike, if you have to reach for the handlebars and your shoulders come up, that means you're a little too far. If you start to pedal and your knees may get really close to hitting the handlebars, you may be too close. So just kind of play with that. If you know you have a shorter torso, bring it all a little bit closer together. I see that very common with the ladies. For our taller folks, those are the ones that typically have the taller torsos that you're going to see that be a little bit further away. Now, once you have your bike set up, a few things that you'll want to make note of are hand positions when you're riding. You have two positions, a seated position in the saddle or out of the saddle. You'll hear me in my class, you'll talk about different hand positions. First position is right here in the center when you're with your hands together. Second position is out here. Those are the two that you want to focus on while you're riding in the saddle. I prefer second position in the saddle just because you can breathe a little deeper through your lungs. So you can inhale here, there's no restriction from your arms pulling in. But again, outdoor riders like it here, they like it lower just so they can be a little more aerodynamic. When you're out of the saddle, you have a couple positions here. Hands at third position and then fourth position. Now I want to show you out of the saddle, third position. If you take note, look at my fingers. I'm nice and light on my fingertips. You send your hips back and keep it low. A common mistake that I see here is people leaning forward and putting a lot of weight in their upper body, or even their hands at second, leaning forward like this, trying to balance upper body right here and not getting really much power. If you put all your weight in your hips, in your glutes, light grip at third, you're going to be able to handle a lot more resistance, get a lot more strength right there. So again, third position or fourth position in the center out of the saddle. This fourth position, some bikes don't have it. I really don't teach to it very often. It's not a common thing to have on bikes these days. So don't worry about it too much, but if you do feel comfortable in my class riding up there, feel free to go there. If you guys have any questions about bike setup, bike fit, any equipment, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. It's at David P Fit. I will see you guys soon. Thanks.